Okay, thanks for joining again on this video series that we've been doing through Veteran PCS website, veteranpcs.com, that features real estate agents and mortgage lenders that are fellow vets and spouses that you can trust to help you move, buy a house, sell a house, talk through the VA loan. So today is just going to be an overview of the VA loan process from start to finish, to just kind of walk through it, explain all these different steps, what people can expect if it's their first time buying a house, or if maybe they didn't really understand what was going on when they bought a house in the past. So today we've got Jamie Fischer, a lender here in Colorado Springs. Jamie, you want to just introduce a little bit of your background?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Prior Army veteran, also did 10 years in the Air Guard doing cybersecurity. Been the branch manager here of Colorado Springs since 2018.
Great. And have worked with hundreds of service members, veterans, when it comes to VA loans. So well-versed in this VA loan process. So can you help us understand, just walk us through when somebody's considering buying a house to when they close, they move in and they start paying their mortgage. What does that whole process look like from the VA loan standpoint?
Yeah, great. Let me pull up this screen here real quick, Jason. Yeah, so this is just kind of the 6 steps to the mortgage process. This is just an overview. And this is what I typically kind of will take a client through when they are looking to buy a home. Because this roadmap is literally this simple. Buying a home should be simple. And a lot of times it's confusing. There's a lot of data out there. So I just like to run my clients through the 6 simple steps. So let's start with a pre-approval versus a pre-qualification. A pre-qualification means a lender has pulled your credit, you're qualified to buy a home, but it doesn't necessarily mean you've been pre-approved. So what pre-approving is I've got your bank statements, your pay stubs. I've asked you lots of questions. If there is a divorce decree, an alimony or child support or part of your situation, those all factor into your debt to income ratio. So I want to explain why it's important that a lender gets these things up front from you, because you may say, I'm just kind of casually looking, I don't want to provide all this documentation. I'm going to tell you, well, hey, if we don't have this, I'm kind of shooting blind into knowing whether or not you truly are pre-approved. Because in your income, your pay stubs, you may have allotments I can't see, right? And those allotments may not show up on your credit. Bank statements, you may have non-sufficient funds, right? To where if you have so many of them in a year, that may cause some issues from the underwriter. So these are things that experienced loan officers are not going to give a pre-approval unless all this stuff is done. We're going to pull your certificate of eligibility if you're a veteran to ensure you qualify. I just had a realtor call me, and she had a client that had a month had a pre-approval, but they didn't pull the certificate of eligibility. Well, they found out this veteran didn't have the allotted time because he was in the Guard. Didn't have the allotted time, didn't qualify for the VA loan. That should be figured out in the first 5 minutes of a conversation, not 30 days. And then you go to contract and now you spend money on an inspection and you got to walk away from the deal, right? So pre-approval is important. When a lender's asking you for this stuff, it's for your good. It's not to make your life difficult. So that's the pre-approval process. Go ahead, Jason.
And even stuff, I know one that's come up a few times is if people have income, but part of their income is either commission-based or they're self-employed or something like that, to where it may not all be able to be counted. So somebody may say, oh, I make $90,000 a year. But when you look at the bank statements and those pay stubs, it's not all income that can be used for an actual pre-approval.
Correct.
Great. Okay, so what's the second step once that's done?
Yeah, so then I tell people, so the way it works is I send you the loan application, you'll complete it. I'll get a notification, I'll review it. I'm going to send you a list of items we're going to need. Those items, as soon as I get those back, that's when I'm going to issue your pre-approval letter if everything looks good. So from there, you're going to go house hunting. And I can't emphasize this part right here. Find a real estate agent that specializes in VA loans. And here is why. Is the VA appraiser, when they go out to a house, they have things they'll call out that may not get called out on a conventional loan. For example, the VA wants to put veterans into a home that's safe, sound, and sanitary, the 3 S's. So if there's chip paint on the house as a listing agent, if I'm a buyer's agent and I go in there and have good experience with VA loans, I'm going to say, hey, before we order the appraisal, we need to make sure these paint chips, these are all scraped and repainted, because the VA appraiser is going to call that out. And if the VA appraiser calls that out, guess what he's going to want to do later? He's going to want to go back out to the house and verify that those paint chips have been scraped and repainted, right? Because they're worried about wood rot. So that's $150 extra they charge you to go back out there. So if you're dealing with a good agent that knows VA, then they're going to go address some of these things even before an offer is put, or before the appraisal is ordered to go out there. So that's why finding an agent. Go ahead, Jason.
How that can affect people, or what I've seen, or situations, is if that does happen and somebody doesn't, catch these things on, the initial showing of a house or going under contract, talking to the agents, then it could delay the actual closing of the house. So if somebody's PCSing, they need to start work, in the middle of the month, but now they're not closing until the end of the month. Now there's this, 2-week gap. Maybe they're going to be in a hotel, or maybe they're going to be, shelling out some money because, now their closing is delayed, whatever, another week or something like that, 2 weeks.
Yep. They're going to be in a hotel with their 5 dogs and their 3 kids.
Right.
And I've seen some crazy stuff. I just had one where the window was cracked on the sliding door.
Yeah.
No business putting that on the market, or at least advertising a VA at that point.
Right.
That literally jammed us up about 2 weeks because the window took forever to come in. So yeah, stuff like this. I think it's just, so when you're looking at agents, hey, how many deals have you done VA in the last 12 months? I think that's a good question to ask. Find out a little bit, just someone that does, everybody's a specialist in VA until you find their numbers, right?
Right.
So, find someone that really knows VA. That's the house hunting part. So, you and me, Jason, we've done a bunch together already this year, VA. So then once you guys go house hunting, you're going to find an offer. Your agent is going to basically write up that offer, submit it in. I'm going to call that listing agent as the lender to ensure they receive the offer and make sure they have any questions addressed. And then hopefully we go under contract. So now we're about 30 days out from getting your keys. So we go under contract, your loan with all the documents you're provided is going to go to our processing team, and they're going to send out your disclosures. And here's what we're also going to discuss: rate lock options and get your appraisal ordered. So on VA, the VA has a VA portal, and we ordered the appraisal through that, and they just assign a VA appraiser in your neighborhood, in your area you live in. And I like to clarify here too, in this slide, there's a difference between a home inspection and your appraisal. So the home inspection, you don't have to do. You definitely want to do it. And I hope, because they're going to find anything wrong with the home. The appraisal is looking for fair market value of the home. So the appraiser is also the eyes and the ears of kind of the VA. So that's where if there's something, crazy that that does not meet the minimum property standards for VA, an appraiser is going to call that out. So if there's, guardrails, if there's no guardrails coming down the stairs, safety issue. VA appraiser is going to call that out, right? So, then from there we submit your file to the underwriter. So the underwriters, I like to say, are the gatekeepers for the company that's going to buy your loan and sell it on the secondary market or service it. So underwriters are there to protect the company and make sure that the loan is underwritten to the VA guidelines or the company's guidelines that are on top of it. So then what happens is, that process is about 24 hours. And then an appraiser is going to, or an underwriter is going to give us what's called loan approval. And it usually comes out in a conditional approval, meaning that you're approved pending these 3 conditions that I need to get from you yet. So the underwriter will send us those conditions. We'll reach out to the client, get those couple conditions, and hopefully by then the appraisal is back in, and then we submit your loan back in for our clear to close. That's it. So then once we get our clear to close, there's a 3-day wait period that when you sign your final closing disclosure, there's a 3-day wait period. And during this 3-day wait period is when the funder and the title company here in the state of Colorado, some states are attorney states where you deal with attorneys, not a good experience. But that 3-day window is when they're balancing your final numbers. So they're going to get tax prorations from the county based on the close date, title fees, or all that stuff's going to be in. And then basically your documents will then be at the title company, the attorney's office for signing. And literally you get your keys that day if you're in the state of Colorado, and you move into your home the next day. So literally it's a 30-day process and it's that easy. So
great. And with all these steps we were just talking about, with ordering the appraisal, going through processing and underwriting, for somebody that's new to all this, do they have any involvement with that? Or is that all stuff that you would be walking them through and really taking care of for them? Like what actual steps of this would a service member have to keep in mind of like, oh, these are things that I'll have to be able to,
Sure.
take responsibility for.
Yep. So assign your disclosures when those go out. Typically on my team, our transaction coordinators will reach out to you, the client, to basically say, hey, there's a new document uploaded in the portal. We need you to go in and sign. When you get it out of underwriting with these few conditions that we may need, you may just have to provide 2 or 3 items to us. I always tell people time is of the essence. Don't wait around, because the quicker we can do our job, the quicker you're going to be in your home. So there's not a lot of involvement in our system. There's not a lot of involvement with the borrower after they sign their disclosures. It's really just at that point getting any other documents we need from the underwriter to submit it back in for our clear to close. And then basically you go to your closing, you sign, a packet of documents, which feels like half a book. And then you get your keys that day.
Great. So very simple process. I think this is a great video, just overview of what people can expect when they're considering to buy a house, all the way through the day where they get their keys and they're able to move in. So we'll get this sheet from you. I think this is really helpful as well. We'll link this in there. We'll link you into this video as well. So if people have questions on this, or they have questions on pre-approval, or they need a second opinion, or any of that stuff, they can get in contact with you, give you a call, reach out. People can find you again on veteranpcs.com, the Colorado page, you'll be listed there. And again, kind of what we talked about in the past with agents and lenders that are experienced in all of this, and the VA loan is so important, because it can end up costing thousands of dollars if something goes wrong or somebody doesn't catch something ahead of time, to make sure that these loans close on time and that people can move in when they're expecting to move in. So at Veteran PCS, again, we've been very diligent. I've interviewed every single person on there. So every agent, every lender, there's deliberately not reviews on the website, because people can't just list themselves. So everybody's been interviewed, everybody has references, everybody has been recommended, by other military families that have worked with them. And anybody that you choose on there, no matter what state you're looking at, would be able to help you and talk you through the VA loan. So you're licensed in how many states, Jamie?
23 states. I can lend in all 50 through our company.
Great. So no matter if people are looking in other states besides, I know you're physically here in Colorado, but if they're looking elsewhere, still a great resource to talk through this process, and you'd be able to help people in, yeah, you said 23 different states.
That's right.
So, okay, great. Yeah, thanks for the information, and looking forward to doing more videos soon.
Oh, thanks, Jason.